Right, now we're going to start the show slightly differently because we're going to have a little bit of Bentley testing.
Yes, and that's because the tech that Mr. Bentley's checking out this week is absolutely extraordinary. In fact, you know what? Technology changes at such a rate nowadays that sometimes it's important to stop, step back and realise that John's testing 3D camcorders.
Yeah.
3D camcorders! I mean, if I said that 5 years ago, I would have sounded like a nutcase.
Yeah, we take it for granted, don't we? The fact is that you can go out and there are a selection of 3D camcorders out there which John has put against each other.
We live in extraordinary times, Miss Perry. We'll both be holograms by Christmas. Pretty confident of that.
And we could be younger and sort of slightly slimmer, maybe a little bit enhanced, more gorgeous.
Could I have hair?
You could have hair. I could have...
Yes. Yeah, you could.
And you could have...
Yes.
I got together some of the latest 3D camcorders and headed to an FIA GT1 World Championship race at Silverstone to test them.
Now, filming in 3D is really a bit of a discipline. You've got to pan your shots carefully so there's a bit of foreground interest, not zoom too much, not pan too fast. It's a bit difficult with fast-moving racing cars.
I had three of the latest models, a Panasonic HDC TM900, a conventional camcorder that has an optional 3D conversion lens, as well as a Sony HDR TD10E and a JVC GS-TD1 BEK, both of which come with integrated 3D lenses. I'd be using them all to film the likes of Lamborghinis, Aston Martins and Ford GTs in their Grand Touring Cars race. So, on to testing, and I began with the Panasonic.
Now, the Panasonic's essentially a 2D camcorder with this separate 3D attachment. There are a few disadvantages to this. One of them is it takes a while to get it on and off. Another is that every time you put it on, you have to recalibrate it.
And once you have calibrated it, you lose some of the camcorder's functions. There's no autofocus, no face recognition, and most frustratingly, no zoom in 3D mode.
Now, I presume I'm getting a good 3D shot. Unfortunately, this screen isn't 3D, so I can't tell.
I also found the Panasonic's 3D images rather low definition. And although we can't show you the results directly, if you go to our website at www.channel5.com/Gadget Show, you'll be able to view a 3D version of all my camera's footage using coloured 3D glasses. So, after being disappointed with the Panasonic, I hoped I'd fare better with the Sony.
There's no separate adapters to fiddle with on the Sony. When you switch it on, you see there are two lenses built in. That's the equivalent of your left eye, that's the equivalent of your right eye. When you play it back, your brain puts it all together and you get a 3D image.
Each image is recorded on a separate Exmor sensor, and the Sony comes with a 10 times optical zoom, which was very useful at an event like this.
That should look good in 3D.
It also has an excellent LCD viewfinder that lets you see what you're shooting in 3D without the need for glasses.
Although the 3D does make the screen slightly darker, you can always switch it back to 2D if you want to, for a brighter image.
Having been impressed by the Sony, I tried out the more expensive JVC.
Like the Sony, the JVC has two lenses and two separate sensors, one for the left, one for the right, so it can record 3D in true high definition.
Also like the Sony, it has a 3D viewfinder and a 64GB flash drive for over 4 hours of high-def 3D footage.
Now, just a 5 times zoom on the JVC, and it seems a bit slower to get into operation.
And because it has a narrower lens angle than the Sony, you can often miss out when you're filming. So far, the Sony had proved to be the most usable of the three camcorders. But it's the actual 3D pictures that would establish the real winner. And to get the action shots I needed, I had a rather exciting test lined up. Once the crowds had gone, I headed out onto the track, where I was strapped into the back of a tracking vehicle to film one of the stars of the GT1 World Championship, the Nissan GT-R. Then GT1 drivers, Jamie Campbell-Walter and David Brabham, would view the 3D footage I'd shot on a Samsung 55-inch 3D TV. Jamie and David are well used to getting a full-on real-life view of race cars, so they'd be ideal judges to help me pick a winner. So, with the safety checks completed, the track cleared of other cars and my cameras at the ready, we were off, starting with the Panasonic.
The clarity's not there, the definition's not there.
It's like you've turned the brightness down on the TV.
So, not much love for the Panasonic. Onto the Sony.
Seems clearer.
clearer, brighter. The definition of the car is much greater than the last one. It's really sticking out.
Yeah, it's coming through the TV more.
Yes.
Oh, look at that, and I could sit all day and watch that.
Yeah.
And finally, the JVC.
For some reason, I'm struggling to follow the car. If you look at the lines, it's not clear.
So
Digital,
almost
like,
giving me a headache as well.
I mean, for me, the Sony's
No question.
no ifs or buts, you know, it's
Yes, I mean,
that's
I agree.
number one,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So, with the Sony the standout winner, time for the G ratings.
First of all, John, a fantastic location for some 3D cameras.
Lovely and such great noise.
I know, it's absolutely awesome. Loving the stuff with the cars coming to the lens. Let's just start off. I'm interested in your feedback. First of all, the Panasonic.
Well, I was going to give 2 Gs to the Panasonic because you do have that lack of definition. You can't use the zoom. The 3D effect isn't that strong.
It's the flattest of the three here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Moving over to the right, the JVC.
JVC 3 Gs for that. Better colour, better definition, a more pronounced 3D effect. But I think it actually handles movement terribly well. It can be rather tiring to watch.
I think if you've not seen a lot of 3D before, you had that camera, you took it back, you showed your friends and footage at a wedding or whatever,
Yeah.
you'd probably be quite happy, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Finally, the Sony.
I think the Sony is definitely the best. I'm going to go with 4 Gs for the Sony. It's got certainly the best 3D effect. You've got the 10 times zoom. It's also by far the most pleasant of the 3 cameras to use with that excellent viewfinder and very good handling of movement.
And you can see more information about these cameras on our website.
Absolutely, and not only that, you can also see the footage in 3D as well.
Superb.
Welcome back and to the start of Little Shopping Challenge, all about how you can save money on your tech. A little challenge that Polly and I face this week.
Yeah, girl fight!
No.
But not the one with mud and bikinis, because that would be wrong. We don't do that sort of thing on the Gadget Show, regrettably. No, this type of girl fight is the sort that you walk away from feeling slightly more informed, not as guilty feeling as the other type. Can you just jump in at any point,
I
guys?
think what Jason is alluding
Thank
to
you.
is that there is some great takeaway in this week's challenge.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
and we're not talking about Chinese takeaway in little boxes with foil lids. No, we're talking about information.
Which is a shame, because I could murder a plate of spicy prawn balls. Oh, eh?
For the start of our challenge, we were summoned to the beating financial heart of London, Canary Wharf, and to a rather swish penthouse bar.
Courtesy of Mr. Bentley.
Oh, adding a bit more class. Oh, it's money. Oh, hang on. YouTube. It's Mr. B.
Good morning, ladies. This week your challenge is simple. I want you to find the best gadget bargain you can for under £100. This is going to put your bargain hunting powers to the ultimate test. Your efforts will be thoroughly checked and judged in 2 weeks' time, so good luck.
Ah, this is going to be tough.
So, 100 quid each to find the best tech we could at rock bottom prices.
But the shops were on our side because the great thing about gadgets is that while the brand spanking new tech is shipped out at top dollar, after that point, the price can drop like a stone. Just look at HD TVs. Back in 2007, you'd pay over £1,000, and now, same size, similar spec, a few hundred quid. And 3D TVs are now doing the same. Because in the fast-moving, fashionable tech world, new products can get outdated very quickly.
People want things to be smaller, faster, quicker. So just from a competitive point of view, manufacturers have got to engage in that limited lifespan and keep bringing out new products into the market.
So the superseded models get cheaper, but that doesn't mean that they're not still great gadgets. So I'm looking for some classic tech that's aged really well, that represents a great bargain.
Meanwhile, my tactics for winning this challenge were all about choosing the right type of tech. So I started at a computer market. Yes, the boring stuff like processors and memory. Now, say whatever you like, but this place is a goldmine for tech bargains. Now, you might have already heard of a little something called Moore's Law. This states that computing tech advances at such a rate that approximately every 2 years the amount of transistors on a microchip doubles. So, each year, these components get faster and better, but the great thing is they stay roughly about the same price, which means we get more bang for our buck. It's the same with hard drives. The price per gigabyte of storage has plummeted from a whopping £150 15 years ago to as little as 3 pence per gigabyte today. All of of which means you can now build your own decent spec desktop computer for around £150. A computer that would have cost you at least twice that to buy new 2 years ago. It's very tempting, but to get it under 100 quid, I think it's going to be pushing it to build anything worth having.
But I wasn't sure anyone would be impressed by transistors and circuit boards. I was on the hunt for my classic tech, because newer isn't always better.
Take this, for example, the Panasonic TZ7. Now, when this came out 2 years ago, it was a great camera. And just because it's 2 years old, it doesn't mean that it's not still a great camera.
In testing, our very own Mr. Bentley felt the older model was just as good, if not better, than its newer replacement, the TZ10. Unfortunately, at 170 quid, it hadn't quite dropped enough in price for me yet.
£300 new 2 years ago, so it's quite a good saving. However, it's way over my £100 budget.
But setting my sights a little lower, I found a great deal on one of John's slightly cheaper compact favourites, the PowerShot A480.
£68? That's pretty much half the original price for a 10 megapixel, really good point-and-shoot camera. That is a great deal. Plus, if I spent that, I'd still have about 30 quid left over.
Meanwhile, my computing search had led me to a more current bargain discovery. When it comes to portable tech, recently it's been all about the tablets, the iPads and such like, which means the netbooks, which once dominated the market, have been shoved out of the limelight. I'm hoping because of that, there'll be lots of these surplus going cheap. And after some searching, I found where a lot of that surplus or unwanted stock ends up, at this tech auction house in Nottingham. And I'm hoping this is the place I find my bargain. Your local commercial auction house can throw up the odd tech bargain, but John Pye auctioneers specialise in gadget clearance, selling off end-of-line or ex-demo models from major high street retailers, both online and at weekly live sales like this, which included lots of netbooks. And I'd roped in someone who knows his stuff, James Temperton from Computer Active magazine, to help me land a bargain.
Obviously, there's quite a lot of stuff here, which is great.
Yes.
The saving you're going to make is quite a lot of them don't have Windows 7 on them, so they're operating system free. Now, obviously, you can go out and buy that. Or
But you can also get free software, can't you? Free operating software.
You could put Linux on it or something like that. So there's loads of ways to save money and still have a really good computer.
I was hoping a cheap as chips netbook plus free software would equal a big win for me.
But for me, the real bargains to be found are second-hand. And I'd sniffed out an auction of my own in Bristol.
Now, this commercial auction includes police stock, so the kind of thing that the Met may have used in evidence. And as you can see behind me, there's loads of tech, so I'm hoping I'm going to bag a bargain.
A quick Google search will point you towards a police auction near you. And online, sites like Bumblebee regularly sell off items from more than a dozen police forces. And there was some interesting tech on show at mine.
Ooh. There's an Amazon Kindle there. The guide price is £60. For PlayStation 3 with the controls and leads, no hard drive, and there's a Wii console with the leads. Guide price 60 to 100. I'm going to definitely bid on that.
Meanwhile, my auction action was hotting up. My bidding maximum was reduced, as you have to add a 15% buyer's premium plus VAT on top. So I only have £72. But there were some great deals. A netbook with a 160 gig hard drive and 1 gig of RAM would have set you back about £300 2 years ago. Here, they were going for as little as 80 quid. Just missed out on that one by £5. But they were just tantalisingly out of my reach. I missed out on that by £3. And time after time, I kept just getting outbid.
£70 a bid at 70, at 72, the lady. At 72, £72, 75, 75. Our gentleman there, number 328.
So I'm still left without a little laptop or a computer of any kind because of £3.
But I was having more luck. I'd found something I thought was worth a punt with some of my precious kitty. But what was it? Well, I wasn't telling just yet.
I've got to say, well done so far. It's not the easiest of challenges.
I know, when I first was given that £100, I thought, yay! But actually, trying to find really good tech is a bit tricky, but if you do know the tricks, then there are definitely ways.
OK.
And if you missed them all as they were flying across the screen there in our challenge, you can just go to our website, channel5.com/Gadget Show, and on there also is some exclusive web footage with our friend from the Gadget Show, consumer champion Dom Littlewood,
good on, Dom.
who took Polly out down the Tottenham Court Road
Yep.
for a spot of haggling, and it's packed full of really good facts. So check that out after the show.
Right, now time for a top 5, and we're talking small rucksacks, or day packs as they're more commonly known, a bit bigger than that.
Okay, yep.
And let me tell you something, everyone listen up, you
I'm
too,
listening.
Suze. You all need one of these in your life. Why? Well, there's nowhere you can go, nothing you can do where one of these won't be incredibly useful.
Unless you're in a swimming pool.
Why are you bringing up swimming?
Well, because you wouldn't have a backpack when you're swimming.
Oh.
It's not personal, the fact you can't swim.
It's not a fact. It's, you know, it's a disputed issue. Anyway, here's our top 5 day packs.
Yeah, but you can't swim there, can you?
For this top 5, I travelled to the foothills of the Atlas Mountains in Morocco to the Terres de Armenar Adventure Park, ready to test 15 of the best day packs on the market. A good backpack is a trusted companion, a true friend through thick and thin. And what I want to know is, which one of these bad boys is most worthy of having my back? Easy, easy, all right. First up, I tested each one to see how well they fitted my stuff. That has just about taken all my clothes, loads of extra space in there, and how well they fitted me. Oh. Quite a few of the bags were compatible with hydration packs. The tube actually feeds in through a small hole there, and then along your strap. It's even insulated, look. But some of them weren't up to scratch when keeping your stuff secure. That's gonna fall out, I would expect. Not really a fan of that one. That was thirsty work. Someone hosed me down. And what better way than with a water test? Each pack was loaded with a wrapped bag of bone-dry Moroccan couscous, and any leakages onto this precious cargo would be seriously punished. So, my mate, Rashid, brought the Moroccan rain while I attempted to get the rain covers on those that had them.
Rain cover. There we are.
After a thorough drenching, had my precious couscous survived? Bone dry. Well done, Carrie Moore. The hard-shelled and sealed Bobblebee fared well, as did those with rain covers.
Well done, North Face.
And features like moulded zips.
That is bonus dryus, Latin for not a drop of water on it.
But for the leakier ones, it was a couscous goodbye.
Fail. That's wet.
Now down to 8, the remaining packs all suffered a drag test of material strength before my final comfort test with each loaded pack out in the field. I worked up a sweat walking, running, across rope bridges. Okay, we're wobbling a bit now. This rucksack is not the most comfortable of the rucksacks that I've tried out. And even down a 300-meter zip wire. Yeah! This is fast! It's probably too fast! To eventually whittle down my final top 5. And at number 5, it's the Bobblebee Amphib, a heavy-duty option with almost total water resistance. It's incredibly rugged, looks gorgeous, and I like it. At number 4, it's the Deuter Futura with a sweat-preventing suspension system. It's got lovely cushioning just above the hips there. The straps are incredibly comfortable. And of course, it's hydration compatible, which is always good. At 3, it's the Mountain Hardware Fluid, which stayed dry despite no rain cover and has a sturdy but breathable foam back. Bouncing in at number 2, it's the Australian Caribou, deceptively straightforward and great bang for your buck. The distribution of the load is so even, it fits my back perfectly. Real surprise one, this. And our number 1 day pack is the Berghaus Free Flow, a fantastic all-rounder that impressed throughout the day with an adjustable suspension system which came in handy for me. This Berghaus is spreading the weight evenly thanks to fat straps here and this suspension system here, which not only can I bespoke to the size of my torso, but also has very little contact between my back and the rucksack itself, which means as I'm working up a sweat, there should be very little moisture on my back. And I will be working up a sweat because I'm about to go zip wiring across a ravine. This should be quite sweat generational. Yes, that's the term. See ya!
Welcome back. Now we're going to stick our heads up there. in the cloud. We're talking cloud computing, people. The storing of your most precious files, your videos, pictures, music, whatever it is, on the internet, aka the cloud. Is it a good thing, or is it a very, very bad thing? To find out, John and I had a little debate. There's a big buzzword hovering over us in the gadget world, revolutionising the way we access and share data. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the wonderful world of the cloud. Think of the cloud like a massive hard drive in the sky. Using the internet, you can store all your data there, things like documents and files. You can back your computer up in the cloud. You can even stream movies and music onto your laptop, your tablet, or your phone. The cloud is a colossal network of computer servers across the globe, which store and process huge amounts of data. The cloud is making big changes in the way we work, share, and play online. And I think it's a complete game changer. I'm in cloud heaven, and I'm making use of it as we speak. It takes care of all my entertainment needs. I have a limitless selection of movies and TV shows which I can stream from the cloud using providers like LoveFilm and iPlayer. And if I'm feeling like getting my groove on, work it, boyfriend. I've got access to millions of songs from services like Spotify, We7 and Groove Shark. And even gaming is catered for in the cloud, with services such as OnLive, giving access to the latest high-spec computer games streamed straight to my TV, laptop, or tablet, with not a disc in sight, because the graphics processing is all done up in the cloud. You see, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of online, cloud-based entertainment goodness, and I, for one, intend to pig out.
Well, forgive my cynicism, but I think we're stepping into cloud hell. See, there's one big flaw with the cloud. It's all online. You're completely and utterly dependent on your internet connection to take advantage of it.
To make use of the cloud, you need internet access all day, everywhere. And we all know how often our internet cuts out, with the average fixed-line download speed a measly 6.2 megabits per second, let alone the upload speeds. I don't think we're ready for it just yet.
What? Of course we're ready. We're already seeing fibre optic technology spreading across the UK at an unprecedented rate. And soon, 3G will upgrade to 4G, giving us an astonishing 1 gigabit per second of high-speed internet access whilst we're on the move. Imagine all those tiny handheld devices doing high-end computing via the cloud.
Well, call me old-fashioned, but what about quality? Yes, you can stream your movies online, but you'll be lucky to be able to watch them in 720p. Whereas I'll be kicking back to full high-definition Blu-ray with glorious 7.1 surround sound.
And don't get me started on the compressed music files you'll be streaming from the cloud. They don't come close to the rich, full sound of my LPs.
And you're going to store 1 million of those where? In your front room? I don't think so. You see, the cloud is all about convenience. All the applications I could possibly ever need, all up there, waiting for me to tap into. There's a huge array of free online applications that let me do all my office tasks without having to save them onto a hard drive. I can even do photo and video editing, and it all gets saved in the cloud, ready for me to access and work on anytime, anywhere.
I much prefer my faithful hard drive. I know exactly where all my important data is all the time. I can feel it, I can trust it.
And yes, my pictures, movies and files take up space, but why send all of my information out there into the online wilderness when I can keep it on something so small it fits on my keyring?
And what about sharing? Well, with applications such as Picasa, Flickr and Windows Live Photos, I can upload my pictures via the cloud, and then my relatives can view them on the other side of the world.
Yes, you can share your holiday snaps with your auntie and uncle, but there's always the chance you might also be sharing them with that greasy 19-year-old with the NVQ in computer science.
You see, my biggest problem with the cloud is that you're entrusting all of your data to someone else. And as recent headlines have shown, no one is safe from hackers, even the likes of the Sony PlayStation Network, Sega and Nintendo. Earlier this year, Dropbox performed a code update that introduced a bug which meant that for almost 4 hours anybody could gain access to anyone's account.
Yeah, accidents do happen, but I'm sticking at the forefront of technology where I feel most safe. The likes of Google, Microsoft and Apple have all sent their servers up into the cloud. And Samsung have released the world's first cloud netbook, the Chromebook. It has a minimum amount of software, no normal hard drive and only a tiny flash drive. But it's basically a portal to your cloud-based world. I've got no doubts that cloud-based computing is the future. Well, John, I've got to say, some very convincing arguments, but I couldn't resist but coming to the studio with this in my hot little hands, and I'll just deal with this assailant. On Live, the gaming platform everyone is talking about, a cloud-based gaming platform. So the latest titles streamed to my TV. If there's an IPTV, all I need is this. If not, I can use that micro console to hook my existing television up there. It'll work with my laptop, it'll work with iPads and Android-enabled tablets, and I'll be streaming the top titles onto those devices. We're talking, the latest games. I'm playing Homefront right now, streaming live via my connection, all that data being crunched in the cloud.
It's brilliant. However, you do need a 2 megabit internet connection, so it's great when you're at home, but when you're on holiday in that Spanish holiday cottage with a flaky internet connection or expensive 3G, it's not going to work.
See, that's the reason why I always send the kids and the missus on holiday on their own. I stay at home and get in some serious gaming time. Welcome back, and it's time to return to this week's challenge, in which these two are attempting to find the best piece of tech they can for under 100 smackers.
Yes, the theory behind this task is that while pretty much everything else that we buy goes up in price, gadgets are the glorious exception.
So we wanted to discover where in the world of tech the real bargains are. Which gadgets can you pick up for just a snip?
So, as we rejoin the hardcore shopping action, I think it's fair to say that Susie, you're closing in on a few choice items, yeah? Whereas Polly has yet to bag her bargain basement holy grail.
Having already parted with some of my 100 quid and got my head around tech devaluation rates, I had a plan of action.
Right, I've done the maths and I reckon that I can get classic technology for rock bottom dollar. In fact, I think I can get more than one gadget. A little collection.
So I was spending my days trawling the net for classic used tech gems on sites like Preloved, Amazon Marketplace and of course eBay, where I wanted to trim more fat off those prices.
I'm using the rather devious website called GoofBay, which essentially lists anything that's been misspelt on eBay or put into the wrong category. So I've just put in PlayStation, and there's a couple here where people have listed it wrongly. One that's about to go for £29.57, but I've missed it because I've been talking to you.
And with UK citizens throwing away £10.5 billion of unwanted tech every year, I was also keeping tabs on freebie sites like FreeCycle and Freegal. You can use these sites to advertise things you no longer want and are willing to give away for nothing.
Look at this. 28-inch Sony TV and stand, an old CRT, for free.
I'd had a bit of a nightmare missing out on an as-new bargain netbook. So I'd also now switched my attention to second-hand gadgets, but I was still convinced fast-evolving computer tech held the key to my challenge-winning bargain. I'm looking for machines that were a pretty high spec for their time, because they're the ones whose prices fall the quickest and the furthest. That's because the fastest components can get superseded quickly, and that's when the price plummets. If you compromise a bit on spec, you can make big savings. You could get what was a high-end business laptop in about 2004, which would have cost you about £1,500, and it's available now for under a ton. Now that's a deal.
Meanwhile, I'd ventured out onto the high street to investigate clearance deals on last year's tech. High street shops usually have clearance sections in store, or online there are specialist sites to hunt for your bargains.
The key can be choosing the right moment to strike.
Camera manufacturers tend to refresh their product lines twice a year, so late spring and autumn can be a great time to snap up a clearance deal. And TVs are often slashed in price before big sporting events like the Olympics.
Blu-ray players are an interesting clearance option at the moment because all the latest models come with 3D, which means that the older models are going for a song.
But then I found a cracking clearance deal, 50 quid, that combined the two.
£49.99, 3D, Blu-ray 3D, LG, 50 quid. Oh, that is good. That is really good.
The cheapest I could find this discontinued model online was £96. This could be a steal.
I'd moved on to the refurb market. Refurbs are items that have been returned because they're unwanted or have a minor technical fault. They've then been fully tested and restored to as new by the store or manufacturer. But because they're not brand new, they're often much cheaper.
Look at that. Was £299, been reconditioned, £139, but they can do it for me for £100. And it's not a bad spec either.
I'd come across some refurbed options too during my hunt.
Now, these Pure Dab radios have been refurbed by the manufacturer, and they are $39.95 in here, which is a massive saving, because online, the cheapest price I can find is £81. So refurbing.
I hadn't realised it yet, but that was my eureka moment.
Refurbing?
I wasn't convinced the netbook was quite my ticket to victory, and it was fair to say I was struggling to get other deals within budget.
£100! £100!
I already knew computer components could come in cheap. Perhaps with a bit of know-how, they could add up to something great.
Meanwhile, I'd taken my refurb brainwave and run with it.
So, I've discovered, rather unsurprisingly really, that some of the cheapest deals that you can get involve buying faulty goods. I've bought this Xbox 360 for £35 from eBay, and I'm going to try and fix it myself.
This old Xbox was suffering with the red ring of death, and I was attempting some gadget resuscitation.
Yeah, when I say I'm doing it on my own, not quite doing it on my own. This is Chris Sanderson, he's a gadget enthusiast, and has taken, well, a fair few Xboxes apart in your time, haven't you?
Yeah.
Often the internal CPU has been overheating, so inspired by numerous YouTube how-to videos, we set to work on the fix. First, cleaning with nail polish remover, then running a heat gun over the affected chips for a few seconds, before spreading thermal paste to prevent overheating. Operating on your console in this way is a risky business though, and will void your warranty. There are no guarantees it'll even work, but I hoped in this case it was a gamble worth taking.
What's that? Rattling noise? We've not even switched it on yet.
I know.
But would it work?
It works! That's fantastic.
Meanwhile, I'd done a bit of shopping myself and was ready to get all DIY on the task.
We all know you can build your own computer, but how do you fancy building your own PVR?
We're all familiar with Sky Plus and TiVo boxes, but in essence, a PVR is basically a computer with a couple of TV tuners and a big hard drive. And if you're prepared to really hunt, you can find an old PC capable of operating as a PVR for dirt cheap.
So right here we've got the old computer base unit. eBay, £30, absolute deal. We've also got a TV tuner card, which is second-hand off Amazon. That also only costs £30. And the all-important part, 500 gig hard drive.
With all the cables, that's £90 all in. And to help me put it all together, I'd roped in my own DIY tech head, Gareth Williams.
OK, so first of all, we need to take the side off the case.
First, we installed the TV card and the hard drive.
Cheers.
500 gigs gets you around 125,000 MP3s, or crucially for me, about 13 days of non-stop recording.
There you go, perfect.
And to run the PVR itself, this was the really clever bit. A lovely free bit of open source software called Mythbuntu.
As they say, good things come to those who wait.
My install didn't go totally smoothly. But eventually...
Moment of truth.
I had a working PVR.
Oh my word. It's working.
We turned a dusty old PC into tech gold.
Well done, girls. 2 very impressive results. Susie, you've gone for the bundle.
I have gone for the bundle because I thought it would be more impressive, but actually it was quite tricky to choose because I loved the 3D Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
And it was 50 quid, but actually under 100 quid to get 3 things together. Very
Just
tricky.
pushed you over the edge. So
It did, so I've gone for the laptop, the Xbox and the TV.
Which I've got to say is very impressive.
Thank you.
But equally impressive, I have to say, Polly, is your PVR, because, hey, you made this thing.
I did.
It showed creativity, ingenuity.
Yeah.
It works. I'm really impressed with it.
Seriously thinking outside of the box.
Oh, absolutely. However, I think I know which one of you deserves a win. But before I say who it is, let's see where the scores stand at this point in the Gadget Show series. If only to point out that Otis and I are in the lead. We need one of the girls to join us, and I think It's Susie Perry, ladies and gentlemen. Susie Perry chalks up one. I tell you why. I think the Xbox is great, but it's the laptop that really impresses me.
Yay! Hooray! I'm on the leaderboard. Woohoo!
That's it for this week. See you next time.
See you.